Now that's the way to start a show off. Hey everybody, it's Andre and you're listening to episode 87 of the RC Afterhours podcast, simply titled Digital. Because do I got a story to tell about that stuff. Hello to everybody on the stream watching live right now, watching and listening. Hello to everybody else listening on the podcast after I publish it. It's been, 2-3 weeks or so since our last episode, and I've been flying, I've been reviewing, and I've been having a little bit of fun in the cold winter. So, hey everybody online right now, checking us out, and the brothers RCs, you guys have been having a riot yourself too and having a lot of fun, so thank you for stopping in on the chat stream. Hi Brian, hi Tracy and every crew, everybody. Yes, all right, let's get into this thing. So yes, I said digital. This past weekend I did something that I wasn't thinking I would do, and I experienced the DJI digital, their new FPV drone quad, and I shouldn't have. I really shouldn't have. And every time I say I'm not gonna do something, it just creeps into my life. So we're gonna talk about the digital forefront, the stuff that's coming. And I swear to gosh, I wasn't gonna go down this rabbit hole, and I know I'm going down this rabbit hole because the technology and the gear is so crazy, and I maybe had a minute or two under the goggles, under the hood, flying this thing, and it was incredible. Would I buy one? No. Do you need one? Yes. It is that cool, and I flew with the stock controller looks like your Xbox controller, it's designed like that, and that's the look and feel. But then you can also get the wand or the joystick, and that was so cool because it's like flying a flight simulator. That's what I equate the whole experience to. And the DJI unit belongs to Steve Captain Roan. Anybody checking out his YouTube channel, it's just exploding. It's a lot of fun. We're going to be doing more content, and we'll get down to, I'll talk about that later on as soon as we're both jabbed with our COVID vaccines and stuff. Anyhow, we got there, and he's like, you've got to try this. So I had my gloves on, we cleaned off the goggles and everything, I threw them on, and it's like you push a button, the arm it, double tap to arm it. So anybody who's flown any kind of DJI product and everything, tick, tick, go. Brian, Tracy, we'll talk about the price and everything. I've got some ideas about this. And yeah, you double click on it, then you hit it again, it arms it, you hit it again, say it lifts off, and you've got this little circle. And it's like, Steve's like, okay, you see where the circle is? Yeah, pull the trigger and fly to it. And okay, never ever tell Andre, pull the trigger and go, because I shot past Steve at like top speed. I gunned the poor quad, but it was so cool with the little wand joystick thing, and it was like flying. If you didn't know what the craft was, I was like, I feel like I'm flying a wing, and I would have rolled it if I could. If he would have let me, I would have. And Steve is like, stay away from the goalpost, man, because he knew I was going to go find a gap. But no, I'm not going to, because the price tag on this thing, holy gosh, like it's what, $1,600 US, $1,200 US, something. It's unreal what it is. Now you get a serious piece of kit that can like blur the line between a race quad and your cinematography kind of quad. It's got some sacrifices, right? You'll never get a pure cinematography quad out of it, and you'll never get a pure race quad out of it, but you get a pretty fun piece of kit. So like, you're going to say, okay, this is my ultimate piece of gear, go for it kind of thing. But it flew really well for what it was, and it happened so fast that I couldn't even calculate. I couldn't take in all the information that was there because I was so focused on the view and the digital. The last time I flew digital was when I was down in Ohio at Flight Fest back at the old headquarters, and that was like a Mavic, maybe Mavic Pro with the white 720 goggles, right? And so it was like, wow. And like, I barely took in what all the OSD was telling me and everything because you were so focused on the view. I mean, I've got some brand new Fat Shark goggles, which are pretty awesome, but this was like just a whole other level of wow. So I don't know where it's all going, but one of the cool things with the market like progressing through, well, all of a sudden, if you're looking to get into this thing, it's going to get cheaper as far as I'm concerned. Yes, proprietary goggles, but anybody who's going V2 is offloading their V1s, you know, because that's just how it goes. So as things go through, that's probably my game plan if I go. Why do I think it's the future? It's going to get lighter and lighter and lighter, and things like you've got like the Vista, the Caddx Vista stuff. And that FPV combination is 27 grams, and that includes a receiver if you go with the DJI remote, right? So it's like, oh, where is this all going? Now, well, okay, I'll qualify that receiver statement. You need a flight controller in it. So if you're looking at like something like a plane and you don't have a flight controller, well, you're still going to have to put a receiver into it. But it's going to get lighter and lighter and lighter. So in some aspects, analog is still price-wise way better, and weight-wise way better, but you can't tell me this year coming up that this stuff isn't going to catch on like wildfire. The caveat there too is limited licensing. Obviously DJI are controlling their market share really carefully, but still it is crazy. So, you know, if you're looking at a used path, you're probably, depending on where you're going, you're obviously going to get stuff at a significant discount if it's used, but you're looking at an investment. So to want to get into it, you've got to really want to get into it. But I mean, once you experience it, it's hard not to be attracted. But going back to the flying experience, I was immediately at home with the wand or joystick system, you know, and using my trigger finger, and I had a couple other fingers. There's a emergency, you know, the holy whoops button, and the whole thing just will stop and everything. And what I really noticed on what was really cool on flying around, the return to home, your home launch was just an H, you know, and one of the other guys said who's got an Oculus, and I agreed that it was a very similar experience. The only thing I have to say I was missing and wish there was, if you've ever experienced the Oculus Rift stuff, they have a camera on the outside of the goggles. So when you look down, you can actually see your surroundings. It's kind of ghost view. And I was thinking that would have been cool, because I had my gloves on, so I'm fumbling around with the remote and everything. But like to do a left bank turn, you just rotate your wrist a little bit to the left, you know, so that's, and it's a coordinated turn between your aileron input and your rudder input, right? And it was like, cool. And if you want to do a full rudder, you just twist your wrist, and I'm just like, oh, this is so cool. Now there's a photo of me, and so I'm sitting out there in the middle of the field, you know, goggles on, my hand out at 90 degrees with a stick, and I sent a picture to Chris, and he's like, you know, if someone saw you, the cops would probably be called, because you look ridiculous, and because we're so used to that head down with the remote in your hand kind of look and feel. On this one, you have to be up, but it's even crazier because some people would get their as I was watching Chris fly, Steve fly his quad the first time, showing us, he was standing opposite to what the quad was doing, and it was really distracting from an optics standpoint. So, I don't know. I think DJI did their homework. This thing will be a marketing smash for them, like they've been doing the last couple of years, because really they don't have any competition as far as what this thing is. And I think they're going to do really well in that, because they're going to be able to attract people who otherwise wouldn't be into this genre, I don't think. And obviously, like I said, the other benefit too is as this technology grows, things are going to get smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. So here, I'll pull up the specs on this thing. Where is this stuff? Here we go. And I'm going to move that screen out of the way. All right, where is... Aha, here we go. So, you know, it's beastly. What's really cool is, so Steve and I were out flying, Captain Drone and I were out flying. He was actually wanting to use it and chase. He was chasing the BushMule. And I got some onboard shots, and he actually has a green cover on this thing. On his, he picked up the green case, so it shows up really nice, and it's just kind of neat. The camera, essentially, from what I understand, is an Osmos 4K. but it does some really weird frame rates. They actually do not do 30 frames per second in 4K. They'll do 50 and 60. So this thing is based on the action and movement. And the immediate thing we noticed was all the props were in the shot for post. So you have to crop it in and everything. So it's so if you're thinking this is going to be my primary, acquisition cinematic thing, you've got props in the shot. Now, if you're just flying around having fun, I don't really mind the shot. And that's what I was saying to Steve about it when we were discussing this thing afterwards. It's the props sometimes add. I know we get all crazy and then we want perfect views, but sometimes that reference of what the machine is doing, now it all depends on the gimbal and everything, right? Because you could be like in a left-hand bank turn and the props going in the other direction could be really disorienting. But if you just have a little hint of it, you can get a little sense of that drama. So anyhow, just looking at it, it looks like it's a really decent camera. It looks kind of funky. It's a little heavy, I think, for what it is. And when you see it take off, the back end of it kind of dips down and then it spurts off and goes. But for what you get and everything, it is kind of neat and captivating, and it's one of these first in the market kind of scenarios. So it'll be interesting to see where it goes, and every year they come out with the next version. It seems to get a little better. Interesting note on the joystick, it is limited. It's like sport mode if you've ever flown the Mavic Minis and stuff like that. So it's fast and everything, but it's not wide open. So obviously they've dialed in a little bit of support and a little bit of input. So we're not sure we could chase with the joystick, but I was telling Steve, if I get a wing out and everything, or just fly something small FPV, and he could try and chase me around, a defined path, he might actually have a little bit of success. But one of his comments to me as he was trying to chase the big BushMule was its speed versus a traditional quad that's set up for cinematography, air flight and everything. He felt it didn't respond as quickly, so he'd go slow down and he'd blow past me and then have to try and turn around and reacquire the airplane in the air, and vice versa. If I suddenly sped up, it took him longer to catch me, and then by the time he catch me, I'm into my turn for the next leg kind of thing. So our rhythm was off. But again, it was freezing cold and we were flying. It was so cold that I shattered a ski on the BushMule on landing, but we'll get to the BushMule flight experience. Anyhow, this really to me is opening up a whole new realm in the technology. And I've got, like, as I was out for my hike today, I was writing my notes talking about things like the Caddx and the digital systems. And like I said, they're going to get smaller and lighter and more, and the camera technology every year seems to be coming on. And what does this thing weigh in again at? What is it, specs? Where are the specs on the little Caddx? Come on, sight. I think it was, what is it? Precise details. I'm just looking really quick. 27.5 grams. So we're getting comparable to a high-end FPV system, right? Analog, so 4 kilometer range. So it's kind of neat. And like I said, it's kind of like, watch this marketplace. And I know it sounds very quad centric, but I can just see, I'm really hoping that a lot of this bubbles over to the small wings. And I've already seen pictures on the, some guy stuck one on his Renegade. So that kind of is like, ooh, if we can just, anything under sub 250 gram, all of a sudden in digital, oh my goodness, you're going to be giggling. Speaking of Renegade, if you watched, what video is it? I don't know if I published the last video. Anyhow, I was actually having issues with my motors on the Renegade, and I got to test some stuff, and what I suspect was I overpropped it. So the thing was spooling down. It was making all kinds of howling and screeching. I've switched back to the 4-inch props. I think those ESCs and those more aggressive GenFan props, the Hurricanes, were just overdriving it. So I've gone to some 4-inch, but I've also ordered some Emax Eco motors, 1407. So these are the ones Sean's recommended, 3300 kV. So going to be able to run them in 2S and 3S, and keep those 4-inch. Maybe if I go back to some 5-inch. So I'm going to keep playing around with it, but it's been so cold and so just for flying. But I figured I would pick these up. There was like, $30 Canadian shipped. So I'm like, might as well try it because this is one aircraft. The Renegade is going to be my go-to, and maybe when that, the one day maybe it'll go digital. Who knows? Okay, moving on. I'm just looking at my notes and everything. Speaking of small and micro, I don't know if anybody's been paying attention to things like the Insta 360 Go 2. This little camera just is going to get better and better. I remember seeing version 1, and Steve, Captain Drone, showed me it. And I was kind of like, okay, that's neat. Version 2, they kind of hit all the things that I was thinking about that I wasn't really sure about in this product. The only thing that gets me as a plane pilot is I'm not in love with the form factor, in the sense that if it was a cylinder, much like the Mobius style and everything, if it was a super thin cylinder, with a flat edge, Velcro that onto a wing somewhere and everything, and I guess it will record 4K at 30 frames per second, and will do about 15 minutes or so. And if you can offload that content, in the field, well, then you can just keep playing away with it. That's the only thing. It's an internal battery, internal card. So, but for those limitations, you get something that's super light, super flexible. So down the road, who knows? And again, we were discussing and laughing, saying, is GoPro kicking themselves for basically killing off the session? Because this is where, I mark my words, this is where the session would have been if they had kept developing that product. It would have turned into a lightweight, all-in-one package, because this thing is going to light up the market, and within 6 months we'll probably see half a dozen kind of knockoffs and everything. But run cam, you paying attention, because this would be fantastic in a lighter component. So just me talking about it, but it has impressed me. It has really impressed me. It's expensive for what it is. It's super expensive. So I don't know. But if you're looking at something like, if you're looking at, an HD system or any kind of quad and everything, and you don't have a decent video feed, or even if you're shooting analog and your FPV video is just, and that's something I've experienced, and want to throw something light on your plane just to capture it, this thing might be the way to go. And especially, you can mount it in certain ways, but again, if it was a cylinder, it'd be beautiful. I still have my 720 wing cam, which I will fly with until it's just too obsolete. Speaking of which, I guess I'll bring this up now. Want to know what everybody's thinking right now about, and I'll switch screens. Just kind of curious to see what everybody's thinking lately of the of some of the YouTube content. I've really been focusing on, well, one, it's 4K, and that's been fun. It's been a bit of a learning experience. I find the biggest lag time with the 4K content is actually getting it to YouTube. The laptop and the technology and the gear I have is all fine. The workflow is fine. Everything. The in-studio stuff takes a little bit longer because the files are bigger and the edits and everything. And there's going to be content I'll be producing very soon for the ZOHD, the two planes from the ZOHD collection, the Drift and the Dart 250. But it's funny because if I go post a video to YouTube, I'm actually waiting, and it could take up to 24 hours. I've seen it even take longer, depending on the length of the video, to go to 4K, which is a little crazy. But let me know in the comments, let me know in the feedback what everybody thinks so far of how things are going. Because obviously I've had the opportunity to fly a couple review planes lately, and that has gone pretty good. Let me know. Speaking of review planes, we're going to talk about those ones right now. The Corsair, is this plane out of stock now? This plane is now back, it is back ordered, unfortunately. But I flew it, and I liked it. I liked it a lot, which was surprising. I flew it on skis. The video is out there on my YouTube channel, and it's it made me laugh. I had these little tiny aluminum skis. I should have brought the plane here to visualize, but I had these little tiny aluminum skis that I picked up from Great Hobbies here in Ottawa a long time ago. And we were going to fly them on the UMX, and they were too heavy for the UMX, but they were perfect on this aircraft. And someone asked me if I nosed over, and I said, no, the video you saw was like the one take. I flew it on one pack. It was so cold. It was like the third or fourth flight of that day, and I was so numb and just frigid cold. But this little Corsair flew so good. I look forward to flying it this summer, and we'll see how long it stays in the fleet and see how active it is and everything. But I like the little 750 millimeter form factor because they fit. They're small batteries. They're cheap. They're inexpensive. Just to fuel and feed and enjoy, right? So throw them in the back of the car, put a little 4 or 5 channel, 6 channel receiver into them, and go. I had a lot of people saying, when I put the skis on it, like, don't forget to, not do the retracts. I'm like, they're fixed gear. But it flew really well. Again, the video is on my YouTube channel, and it worked out really well. More content to come. We are losing snow rapidly, but it is now hard pack stuff, so it's going to take a little while, and then we're going to get into the land of mud, into April and May. But like I said, I've been flying that one. Just got the one flight off, one battery up, but it was enough, and really enjoyed it. Been putting a lot of mileage behind the BushMule. We were shooting it yesterday on skis. My buddy Jeremy is actually in the middle of making me aluminum pieces for the ski mounts. I've got one for the nose, which he'd done years ago for the BushMule. Sorry, the Sky Mule. So the BushMule is going to get rear aluminum mounts, and this is like on the ski, the triangle bit that goes from the landing gear struts and then onto the ski. Those pieces are really sensitive to the cold, we were learning, and they just shatter. I fly in the cold. Sorry, it's the way it goes. This plane and I, if you listen to any of the videos, the first time I took off, I said it was like, being reunited with an old friend. I sold off the V1 after a buddy, one of the local flyers, asked me for it, and I'm like, yeah, okay, and I had to cover off, the YouTube channel wasn't generating, or still doesn't generate a ton of YouTube revenue, and I had to cover off some of my the costs for the taxes and everything I pay on these aircraft. So I'm like, okay, well, let this one go, and we'll, and then eventually the big twin came in, the EC 1500. I'm going to hold on to this one for a lot longer because I've got plans for this. I suspect this is going to become my iNav bird. And simply because I can, after trying to throw the big Sky Hunter, I'm like, I think I'm going to like something with landing gear. And so I think this is where the strategy is going to be for this thing. Drop in that 405 board, the twin, and put in a good receiver. And of course, it comes with the FPV mount and everything. So whether it goes digital or analog, I don't know. Don't really care. But it is a very capable ship, and I've enjoyed flying it. It's got a really well-rounded performance envelope, and price-wise, it's basically half of what I paid for the EC 1500. The EC 1500 is still a beautiful ship, and I'm still going to fly that one like crazy, but I think the BushMule will become my iNav. The BushMule V2 will become my iNav ship in going into the future, but we'll see. I make a lot of plans, whether I have the time and everything to actually run them through. But check out those videos. I had a lot of fun with that one. The next batch are from our friends at BushMule. The OMP group planes was really, really, really well done. And boom, the Challenger was really nice. I really enjoyed flying the Challenger because it was it was unique. This is like I said, this is more like your stick kind of feel to it. But on 3S2200 on skis, Dubro skis, it was a lot of fun. I was surprised going over my notes. I was surprised at my low rates. My aileron throws were pretty aggressive, but at based, it's a 49-inch wingspan, so 45 inches of that is aileron. So it's got a lot of throw, but it flew really well, and that red looked really good. It looked really good in the sky. So again, both airplanes were flown that weekend, and it was super cold. Cameras were shutting down, like nothing was going. I had to trudge into the middle of the field, couldn't shoot where I normally like to shoot, so the sun was bad, and just, but the videos are out. Both aircraft flew, and more to come. I don't know if I'll get to do any more ski flights with them, because as we get down to the choppier stuff, it just becomes a little bit more ridiculous. But as soon as the grass is available, I'll throw the wheels on. Probably going to put bigger tires on both of them, to be honest. I like big tires. I really enjoy flying aircraft with larger tires, and it just makes the terrain a little bit more easy to manage. And I haven't even begun to open up the potential on the BIGHORN. The flights were, as I said, I was so cold, my hands were so numb that I didn't want to try and mess with those flaps. And the Pro flap, they will do cowl. Cowl is not the right word. I said that in the video too. They'll do crow, they'll do full flaps and everything. You can probably link them into the ailerons and have giant ailerons, or both. So I haven't unlocked the potential on this aircraft, so I'm going to have a lot of fun with it. The Balsa and everything did well, and I said one of the things I noticed with the Challenger, I haven't tried it with the BIGHORN, the Challenger fit in the backseat of the car. Things like my Tundra, I can't get into the backseat of the car. It's just dimensions-wise, the door opening on the car and everything won't work. It's got to go into the trunk. Now, the BIGHORN went into the trunk. I didn't even try it, but the Challenger fit right into the car through the door and everything. So that was really nice. So it's, when I look at the classes of aircraft, that's something I always go. You get the super big ones go into the trunk, a medium-sized airplane will probably go into the back seat, and then obviously you got everything that's smaller. So more to come from the OMP Challenger and BIGHORN 49-inch collection. Gonna probably roll those tires over. Our friends over at Dubro did send me some bigger tires, so I might try and switch the two of them over or whatever, but I'll try the airplane in stock configuration and then move up. But I know the tire thing from my experience with the E-Flight Brave Knight Pawnee. As soon as I put larger tires onto that aircraft, it was able to handle the grass that I fly off, everything really well. So again, set your aircraft up to the field and conditions. So again, thank you to Buddy RC and OMP for making that happen. And check out the link in this description for this podcast and everything, and on this YouTube video. There's a 10% discount, and that is RC After Hours. And I think that's still valid for, I'm checking my notes here, I think that's still valid for a good while to come. And just checking really quickly to make sure I'm not misleading anybody. And where is it? There's so many notes. I'm looking at so much content here. 10% off. I don't have an expiry date, so there's probably no expiry date at this point. So there you go. Thank you to Buddy RC. Speaking of discount codes and all kinds of goodness, the Challenger, the HangerRC Texan, for those who are Patreons, I put out a little hint picture about what's coming. Sam is almost ready. He's just finishing off his stuff, and then he and I are going to sit down and we're going to do a draw for a podcast supporter on the Patreon, and they are going, some lucky fan is going to win their own Texan with a very special livery. Thank you, Sam. That's been awesome to watch this thing develop and everything. And then I'll get Sam on the show to talk about what the HangerRC crew has got planned going into 2021. Wow, okay, we're already a quarter into 2021. For a lot of you, you've probably, like me, and hit that 1 year mark of COVID craziness and how the world has changed around us. And hopefully we're getting into brighter and better days coming soon. But again, the HangerRC, if you're into foam kit builds, they have a discount code and it's HangerRC and RC After Hours for 10% off, if I'm correct. Yes, HangerRC.com. So again, thanks to Sam and the crew for making that happen as well. Okay, moving right along. Another little one that I flew and really liked, and there you go. This was the little Eachine Micro Mustang, and that was a fun little airplane to go. Actually, again, surprised me. I seem to be very easily amused and surprised by flying. And maybe it was because it was such a long drought between getting out. The only issue I ran into with this little airplane, and it wasn't even the 1S, it was just I couldn't do anything off the driveway, off the parking lot. The little pebbles would just dump it over. And actually, it's a really cool thing with it is the prop is like this keyed snap in thing, right? So unless you do some real big carnage, the pop would just go boop, and then you pop it back on there. I'm like popping the audio and tapping the microphone. And it was really cool to be able to sit there and just fly this thing. And the battery time even made me go, wow, this thing is actually very impressive to fly and engage with and everything. And the little remote didn't even bug me. Now, as I said in the video, if you've got one of these multi-spectrum remotes, it will bind up and everything, and then you can have a full-size remote. Or you just say, yeah, I'm going to fly off this thing. And in medium rates, I was in complete control of this little aircraft. Now, I flew with the landing gear on because the aileron servo is very exposed on the Mustang because it sits in front, just in front of the radiator. Got the graphic up, and so with the gear on, it protects that servo really nicely. And they've got 2 or 3 other models in this lineup. There's the T28, I think the Corsair and everything, but it flew so well. And the little packs, the little 1S batteries actually impressed me. And I mean, it was cold and everything, and this thing took off and it flew great. And if you've got a decent 1S charger with if you've got a decent 1S charger with the right connectors and everything, you've got a great little park flyer under 250 grams. It's got all the features. I found I fought it in obviously basic mode. I didn't even test, like there's a U-turn mode, and then there's an aerobatic mode, and I was like, but in medium I could do anything I wanted. And I was also told afterwards, because I was trying it in full rates mode or whatever, and there's no gyro, and it flies, but you're really, really, really chasing it. So in medium rates and everything, which is probably just got a little bit of AS3X or a little bit of stability behind it and everything, it was a lot of fun and really made me smile. Peter Hawley just from Horizon just popped in. Hey man, we're gonna talk about well, he's on. Maybe he can comment about where is it? Did I put it up? Yes, I did. Actually, new plane in the market. Surprised me, but here we go. The UMX A10 Thunderbolts. Not sure I care about the brown, but I'm really happy that they've come back with this thing. And as soon as it came out, I actually pinged Peter, and he filled me in. They've reinforced the nose because one of my buddies had a gray one, and we immediately turfed it into the ground and had to rebuild the whole front end of it. So it looks good. Minus the brown. I would have preferred to stick with the gray, but I get it. They had to refresh the product and everything. So your little UMX A10 twin 30mm EDFs, is it still 2S? Yes, I think it's still 2S. Yes. 450 to 850 milliamp hour lipos. It's a bind and fly, and I take it back, this thing will fly on a 3S. That's cool. Okay, that's another whole ball game. So it will fly anywhere from a 2S 450 to 3S 850. So that is a big change. Ooh, now I'm interested. This thing on 3S would be a ride. I happen to have a nice healthy selection of 3S 800s. Ooh, we'll see. I need another EDF what am I saying? You always need EDFs. There's always room for more EDFs, or is there not? It'll be interesting to see. I watched the video really quickly. Obviously, I didn't check out the specs until now, so kind of, very convinced now. It's interesting. So you can, yes, Alex says, 3S, yes. This will be fascinating. If anybody gets one, let me know. I'm kind of keen to find out how it goes. Again, Size-wise, it's tiny. It's not a big aircraft. It kind of it's one of those, and I guess that's the beautiful part behind the UMX aircraft. And leave them in your car, kind of thing. Get to the field and just go to the park and just fly them. So if you got your little DSMX DX6 or something, just a simple radio, you probably could have this thing ready to go and fly it on 2S or 3S. And we know the AS3X makes things really nice. And then safe will just, like if it's anything like the Timber, you throw on safe, drop the flaps and fly around using the rudder and just have a laugh. So kind of interested now, kind of want to check one out in person, see it and fly it. I know the brothers, Robert and his brother just flew one. So, Horizon's been sending stuff out for reviews. Be kind of cool, Horizon, E-Flight, to show the podcast a little support. Huh? Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, right? Right. Moving on. So there we go. There actually has been quite a lot of interesting aircraft to look at over the next little while. And I'm kind of wondering, I know Flex, I don't have it up on the page here. Flex just put out an update to the FlexJet. So my FlexJet is now old gear. But whatever. It looks like they've gone with they've done a V2 on the FlexJet, and they've changed the scheme up just a tiny bit. I still like the red and white one, but they've gone with Thunderbird look and everything. So Tracy says on the A10, flies better and looks better without the gear. Yeah, I guess so, unless you're taxiing. But if you're landing in grass, why would you have the extra weight? And the nice thing about the A10 is, you're there's nothing really to damage on landing, which is really fantastic. You've got those, actually the gear pontoons will probably protect it really well. I guess the only thing you got to worry about is the underneath for the rear rudders. Are there rudders there? I'm looking at the photos. I see some kind of rigging on the bottom. I don't know. I thought I saw something in the photo. It just might have been the wire that guides and supports the tail, but it looks like a really fun airplane. You never know if the funds are available later on this season. $160, not too bad either. So again, going back to the Flex Innovation, so they've got the FlexJet out, so that's cool. It's a big 90 millimeter 6S EDF monster. So we go from one extreme to the next. I wonder if I can call them up really fast and we can just look at the specs on that one. Flex Innovation. I'd forgot about that one while I was setting up for the show. Actually, I set up the show while I was out for my my walk. So they've gone with a new color scheme, which is kind of neat. This is the what are they calling this one? This is the Thunderbirds, yeah. So it's new nose scheme and everything, and it looks like they played around with a few of the features. The pilot dude looks new. He kind of looks like he's sitting up a little high in his seat, and then the other one is the standard orange. So they've gotten rid of the blue one, which is still would still look good. I have the orange one, and I do enjoy flying this aircraft. It has double rudder. Oh, thank you, Robert. So Robert just replied because they've flown and just did the review. I'll throw the review into the link here, but it's got a double rudder. So that means you could, dump on the safe and then fly this thing out fly the A10 on the rudder. Oh, that would be so cool. All right, I'm adding this one. I'll add that to the potential list for 2021 jets. So especially since I have the batteries. I forgot the batteries. Why not? Going back to the FlexJet Gen 2, I'm just going to see if they highlight. Combines the revolutionary sport jet with a modern scale like appearance. The FlexJet Gen 2 is designed by Flex Innovation team, including I'm trying to find out where the innovations and the changes are. Looks like new servos on the elevator provide more torque and speed for their demanding applications. The new Thunderbird-inspired scheme sharpens the overall appearance, and a pilot to enhance the overall look. That's true. The first one, the Gen 1, doesn't have a pilot. That's right. Okay. It looks like they've worked on the CG and a few other little things. So again, a really sharp end aircraft. So we go from two different extremes, from the UMX A10 to a FlexJet Gen 2 at, you know, close to $500 US. So there you go. So I'm just looking up all my notes. So coming up next on the reviews and everything will be me jumping into doing the two videos, multiple videos from the ZOHD collection. Again, I mentioned there that I had the Dart and the Drift, the Dart 250 and the Drift, courtesy of Great Hobbies here in Ottawa. They've also sent along the little return to home module and everything that will go into the Dart, and 2 batteries. So just got to get myself set up to do those videos. I've been kind of spreading them out to make sure I've got content to keep going. I've got all the aerial footage and my footage from yesterday's flight with the BushMule, so probably going to be more of a music video, so you don't have to listen to me banter, because, you know, I've been talking a lot during my videos, but it seems to work and seems to give really good explanation as to the flying experience in that, and just been having an absolute riot shooting through all those narrow gaps and trying to do the touch and goes. Want to take the OMP duos out when it's nice before we lose all the snow and do the exact same thing, so then you guys can see what those aircraft can do and do some proper touch and goes and everything. I suspect they'll just be butter. Just be able to actually nail those things one after another, and because especially the BIGHORN, just throw those flaps in, come it nice and slow. And even the Challenger seemed to slow down really good, and I just have fun shooting the gap, shooting between those two trees. It's just it's one of the more enjoyable flying experiences. Just got to remember to put my glasses on. So there we go. Coming up in future episodes of the podcast, we're gonna get Sam from HangerRC in, because we're gonna do the draw. And we'll talk about some of the stuff going on at HangerRC. Want to get Joshua Orchard in, because he just finished a beautiful job on a Balsa USA smoothie and did it in a really stunning blue and white, his signature colors. And then he took the motor, and if you've watched one of his builds, the Ducati, is it Ducati or the Bentley? One or the other. Bugatti, there you go. So many Gottis. The Bugatti twin prop motor, he took that out and put it in the thing. It sounds so evil. So we'll get him on to see what his reaction into flying that, and then I want to get TJ on to talk more about what OMP has got planned into the summer for 2021 and see what they're going. And from there, maybe I'll snag the brothers and bring them on the podcast so they can talk and we can have a good old time. That might be a proper RC After Hours podcast. We'll do it after hours, and it might enjoy an adult beverage while we're doing the show versus a normal glass of water. So, okay. I think, unless there's any other questions or comments through the show, I think we've exhausted all my notes and everything. Just a quick rambling on kind of show. But remember, if you're a Patreon subscriber, make sure you jump over and wait out the challenge. Man, not wait out the challenge. I apologize. Sam and I have been very. I appreciate your patience and everything. Sam and I have been letting that product generate and letting them get through all their hurdles and everything to get the RC After Hours Texan. Yes, I know I spoiled it, but I got to give you guys something to look forward to. So if you're a Patreon, there will be a name draw. We'll do that video, and then we'll post that exclusively to the Patreon account, and then we'll do a podcast to talk about all that other fun stuff. So, all right, I think I've rambled enough along and had a pretty productive Sunday afternoon. It's so windy and crazy, but I figured I'd get out a podcast, and then as the spring comes in, we'll be able to continue enjoying all the other fun little projects and planes and everything. I have a ton of things I want to get through, a ton of videos I want to shoot, a ton of experiences. I got other aircraft to build and finish and everything, but I've just been enjoying the fact that the reviews have been coming in, the opportunities are there. please continue to send in your feedback and everything. Thanks for all the new subscribers. Thanks to all the new listeners on for the podcast and everything. Just having fun doing things my way because it seems to work out. So again, I'm Andre. You're listening to the RC After Hours podcast, episode number 87, simply titled Digital. Thanks for watching. Thanks for supporting. Have a fantastic week. Woohoo! That was awesome, guys. Thanks for popping in to the show. It wasn't announced. It wasn't scheduled. I just kind of was building it up in my head as I went out. So, I'll get that one out later on this week. Yes, as I said, I've got to edit out the flying video from yesterday and put together some of the incredible aerial footage that we got with the DJI drone, and I think we're going to be having a lot of fun later on throughout the year. So again, thanks for everybody who's popped in this afternoon, and everybody have a fantastic weekend. If you get out flying, aces, because it is cold and windy and just no fun. So all right, I'm Andre. Thanks for watching. Out of here. Bye.